Hey guys, it is Ali, and we are on with another Day in the Life with Ali episode. And today I am better and actually excited because yesterday, my day, I missed a day. April 3rd is my anniversary for leaving my corporate job of 19 years last year. And so April 3rd, 2020, I left corporate America. I left my job that I had been at for 19 years. I was in management for over 10 years. And I was beat. I was beat. And I don't have any regrets. I will say that I do miss that steady income. So it's one of the things I didn't prepare very well. I prepared for because I am within what I expected I'd be able to do. But now I need to ramp it up. You guys remember, and maybe I'll find a post from last year and share it with you guys. My initial plan, there's a lot of reasons why I quit my job. You guys in corporate America in the U.S., it's different for everybody. And I have been blessed to be in a field that I didn't actually study for directly, but I excelled in, and I'm I'm one of the ones who came up from the age you could work your way up in a job. Like, you didn't necessarily have to have a degree for something, and I didn't have a degree for the field that I was working in, and that I ultimately spent 28 years in. That's a whole nother topic that talks about vocational training and hiring and training and letting people work their way up in the scale of things as they see, that they are capable of doing. But that is almost something that has disappeared, but I'm hoping that it's making its way back. Like I said, I quit my job for a number of different reasons. But one of the things I was going to do, as you guys know, I was always an avid world traveler and loved being around the globe for multiple reasons. A big part of it is connecting with other people and connecting other cultures, and just actually, for me, it was learning the truth. Like, I was just so tired of always hearing how bad everywhere else was and how great the place I lived was. And yes, while it was great in terms of what I knew and understood, or what I deemed to be great, I still wanted to go out and see for myself, partly because we also know how great is defined for different groups of people. Like they say, it always looks different. The story and the shine is always different depending on what side of the table you're sitting on. And so a lot of times people make assumptions based on this is how it was for you. And that's why I say even my experience here, there, and abroad may not be everybody else's experience, but I try to do the real. And that's what's important to me is to do the real. Be as real as possible, even if it hurts, because I get hurt too in this. But my initial goal, I was going to Spain to teach conversational English. I really wanted to make my way down the east coast of Africa. I had been on the west coast the previous year, and I wanted to come to the east coast. It's really expensive to fly in the U.S. and around the U.S. Once you leave, you actually get a whole nother taste, and you actually get to see how different it is, to actually travel, how great our great passport could actually be. Make my way down the east coast, just take some time, spend some time doing some things, do some volunteer work where I could, all of that. Y'all know what happened, COVID happened, yada yada, all of that. We're not going to even get into that whole spiel and but I realized and wanted to do that. That meant that I didn't want to come back, nor did I only want to take 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks. Always something going on at the job. In my spirit, I just didn't have it anymore. And I can't lie. Even me being me, I was afraid that I was losing my gumption. I was losing my energy. I was losing my energy force. And I was just like, am I tapping out? Like, am I at a point where I have used everything to stay in job relationships, job is a relationship, and then just other relationships, other situations that kind of just happen and I allow to happen. Am I tapping out, proverbially and literally, and not having any space or time for what I wanted for me? And so I had to leave. Last straw, I think, for me was the lack of diversity in the corporation I had been in for 19 years, realizing just blatantly how acknowledging the exception that we weren't diverse and we weren't going to be likely. My company was based in Arkansas. A lot of homework on the state itself to understand the racial and just the history in general of the state, and I should have, but maybe it's best that I didn't. But it wasn't getting better, and to be at the state where we were at the company, to be as old and making as much money, billions of dollars and things like that, and having so much influence and access to so many other places based on the number of offices we had all over the world, including Brazil and the UK and all these other places. But the lack of diversity was so vast and so obvious and in your face that I couldn't ignore it anymore. So anyway, I made the choice to leave, and like I said, COVID hit. I ended up, all my flights were, and the program was canceled, so I had to kind of sit back, and I ended up getting my second yoga CYT certification, which was fantastic. I went ahead and got that in May. Maybe it was just April. And then I decided to take a trip to Mexico. You guys may know the whole history there. I was going to Miami first, and the lockdown and all that stuff was just too much. So I decided to do 7 or 10 days in Mexico, in a city that I hadn't heard of, but airline rates were $45, so I basically flew for free because I already had a ticket that I just transferred, basically. And my 7 to 10 days, as you guys know my story, turned into 4 months. So I stayed until November 27th because I went home the day before my mother's birthday. I went back to the States. So I stayed in Mexico, and I spent 4 months, the first 3 months primarily in one city, Tulum, and then after that I hit 9 more cities. A couple just on a whim, overnights, 2 nights, 5 nights. So I went from, I was in Tulum, Isla Mujeres, Cozumel, Bacalar, Chetumal, Mahahual. I was in Cancun for a minute. I don't know if I really count that one or not, because I actually stayed for like 3 days. Mexico City, and Acapulco. So the only one I didn't count was Playa, because that was kind of like just so I didn't really count that. So 9 cities, I guess. So I went from the east side to the west side, and then I went back home, and I'm glad I did. It was a wonderful experience to actually see how much we are lied to in the States. Everything isn't perfect. I'm going to tell you guys this over and over again. When you travel, especially long-term travel, nomading it or just traipsing the globe, however you're doing it, when you're staying in places for longer than a weekend, you're not in resort mode, you're not spending the most for the best places, but you're kind of living in the masses, in things, with people, around people, circulating around people, shopping with people, because you're living everyday life. You're not just like trying to get it all in, do a whole bunch of tours for the 4 days you're going to be there, but you literally are, every day you get up, you might literally be sitting on the couch most of the day doing some work or chilling, or trying to get to the grocery store, or trying to get around, trying to maneuver around these different places. I learned a lot while I was there, and one main thing that I learned is I wanted more. I was so thirsty for traveling, for seeing the world, and so while I had only been in one country, each city was different. It's just like in the States, I learned a lot in my space, and how much I didn't know, and how vast Mexico is. I was like, oh my God. And I still didn't get to all the places because a lot of times, like I said, I got to a point where I was just like, I'm tired of the hustle and bustle. Y'all know, if you used to follow me or you go and follow me, well, I'm going to start posting old stuff. But I used to take 2 or 3 week trips, and I went to Bali for a week, and then bam, jumped over to Thailand, and I was in Phuket and then Bangkok, and then I came home. That's a 2-week trip, 2.5-week trip, something like that. Bam, moving around. And then my 2018 December trip was 2017 was China, Hong Kong. So we went to Beijing, Shenzhen, Hong Kong. I went to Macau Island, and then LA in 7 or 10 days, something like that. Then 2018, I did Canary Islands, Morocco, Lisbon, and Madrid in 12 or 13 days, something like that. Then the next year, 2019, I did Barcelona. So I did Spain, but I did 3 cities in Spain. I went back to Portugal, and I did 4 cities in Portugal. Then I flew to the UK for a day, 2 days. It ended up being, because I missed the flight. Went to the UK. Then I flew back to Portugal. I flew to Senegal. So my first sub-Saharan African country, which I was super excited to be there. And thank you for all of my family that I now have there. I will actually put their tag, because they're a tour company as well in Senegal. Abdoulaye was very awesome. I'm blessed. God shines down good energy people on me as a solo traveler, and these are things that have graced me. And my mama praying. I know my mama always praying, and my brothers and family and friends and stuff, that I have safe travels. Went to Senegal, and then after Senegal, flew to Marseille, France, and then from France back to Madrid, and then I came home. Went to Miami, almost missed the flight there, and then back to Dallas, and that was 21 days, 21, 22 days, something like that. So moving all around, 3-4 days here and this and that is still, it's amazing. I got to see so much. This experience, 4 months in one country, is so different. And then in December, I went back to, in November of 2020, I went back to the States for a few days. And then that's a whole nother video why I went back to the States and what I ended up trying to do. And then I left because I always travel. It's a tradition with me and my brothers now since 2017 to travel for our birthdays. Well, most of us are in December. One of us is in July, but we typically travel in December. So I wanted to make sure that I was gone. I knew Tanzania was open. It was on my list to come to anyway. So I booked my flight 10 days for 10 days after that, and I was gone by December 12th, 11th or 12th. I flew out of the U.S. and I have been in Tanzania ever since. Now, one of the things about Tanzania is huge, just like Mexico. So most people think Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Arusha, and Zanzibar, or they actually only think Zanzibar, or they don't even realize that Zanzibar is Tanzania. It's just an island of Tanzania. What's amazing about Tanzania got about 15 islands associated. It's like the never-ending country. So there's so many islands that are actually in the territory of Tanzania. All of these islands, Mafia Island, Changu, I can't say these names. I need the map. There's like 3 up by Tonga. There's Bagamoyo, I think is one of the names of it. There's another private island right outside of Zanzibar. There's Pemba, which is actually part of Zanzibar. It makes up Zanzibar because, anyway, Tanzania is Tanzania plus Zanzibar. That's why it's Tanzan. Somebody told me that. Zanzibar is Zanzibar, but it actually is 2 islands like Buddha and Pest. It's Zanzibar and Pemba make up Zanzibar, but they have different names. Well, I guess it should have been called Zanzibar. I don't know. But there's just so much. There's so much to see here, And I would like to see it all. Y'all know I want to see it all. So I could literally be in one country and visit so many cities within that country. And so far in Tanzania, I have been to Zanzibar, Bagamoyo, Dar es Salaam, Kigamboni, Tonga, Moya, Lesotho, Morogoro. Morogoro was more of a pass-through, so I can't really count that. And Mikumi. So eight cities so far that I can think of. And so much more. I haven't been to Moshi, I haven't made it to Arusha, I haven't made it to the Lake Victoria area. Dodoma, people say to go and check that out, which is now the new capital of Tanzania. People say at least go and check it out. There's Pangani, which is up north by Tonga. There's all these other places. And then cross the border, go to Kenya and go to Mombasa, I think is how to say it properly. And I'm sure someone will correct me. And, Nairobi, all of that. And then you have all the surrounding beautiful countries, Rwanda and Malawi and Uganda. I haven't made it to any of those. And part of that is because of COVID. Because for now, in order to jump around, which is normally really easy, 3 months, your visa doesn't expire, but you have to leave. To just jump on a flight, go and visit another place for a week or two and come back. No, now you gotta have $150, $120, $100 and something COVID test every time you go in and out. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So anyway, this is why I am where I am right now. So I wanted to just share, since I left my job of 19 years, and when I did it, I didn't really think twice. It was like, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh no, oh no, oh yeah. I don't know. Y'all know Phil Collins' songs, Stop Playing. I was, and still am, happy. It's crazy, I'm in another country. And for the most part, like, y'all can't tell. Like, you would never know if I'm in the States or in another country except for my videos, things that I share when I go out onto the streets and stuff like that. So, I want to maybe share what I've learned about myself in these last 8 months. Some of the stuff I already knew, things that I knew I needed to work on, things that I just discovered, or things that I'm realizing as I'm in these spaces. And there's a couple things that that might be triggering, but they will be separate topics, things that I feel deep inside of me that I'm experiencing and kind of hurt, like transferred aggression. So I want to talk about those things. So I'm going to go down my list. Y'all, I know I had to write it down because I got short term. So what I've learned about myself since I've started my safari, which is a journey in Africa or Tanzania, that's what they call it. So when they say, like, if you take a tour to an island to snorkel, they call it a safari, because you're going on a journey. And so this is the journey of my life. Number one, I still need to work on my patience. This is a lifelong thing. Y'all, I've been working on my patience since my son was born. He's 30. Some things, this is how you know there are some things that this is how you know that some things are who you are naturally. These are personality traits, right? So I have to actively work on my patience. I have to acknowledge when I am being pushed to a limit, and sometimes the being pushed to the limit is there are things that I naturally can and cannot flow into, and it's just certain things about each of our personalities that either we glide into things or we hit a rock and we're just like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And so I have patience deficits that I still try to feed and feed into those banks, right? I I posted about this the other day. These are kind of like just some other ones that this is part of patience, is that I really don't need to backslide on cursing. I stopped cursing back in 2010, and I have crossed over a couple of times. I will be honest and admit, but I immediately snap back and realize, yeah, no, I really don't want to go back to that, the old me. And I know a lot of people are like, well, say what you need to say. It's like, for me, cursing is like probably like a recovering alcoholic or something like that, where you know, if you start, like I was bad at cursing, like I could make a whole rhyme and curse you out and not think anything of it. And I just don't want to go back there, because it's so easy for me to use, I already have like a snippet kind of response, so add some curse word combinations up in there, the 1 2, the 2 2 2, the 2 3, 1 2 3, 3 2 1 4. Add all that up in there, it ain't gonna be a good day for whoever's on the receiving end. So I don't want to do that. I also need to, y'all know I've been doing yoga forever, so as a part of this, I just want to put these two, the cursing and yoga, allowing that to be more of what my go-to, especially in these tough situations. Each day comes with some sort of trial. So in everything, one of the main things I want to do is paint a realistic picture. I see so many videos and YouTubers and just people in general, and even locals, but mainly in kind of like the touristy capacity, always saying everything is perfect, no worries, everything is great, and it's not true. There's issues everywhere, and if we honestly think that everything is so perfect, milk and honey, or we're saying it's perfect milk and honey, we're not doing anybody any justice. And this is why sometimes things never balance out. This is kind of almost the same as why things don't ever get better in the U.S. Because there's people, that how you have that grading curve, where if everybody was saying, no, this is how it is. How you can't curb racism, you can't curb discrimination, you can't curb the redlining and all that, is because there's people still up here talking something that ain't happening. On both sides, those who are the receivers, knowing that their family or members or friends are receiving it, but because they up here, they could say, oh, it's not all the time. So you can never meet in the middle and fix a situation, because you got some people who are living it every day, and then you got other people denying that it even exists, and that's something that happens here. So when you have people that are constantly talking about how beautiful, how great, how all this stuff, but they never actually say, but be mindful of this, be aware of this, it's not to put against, because we have all the same issues in the States, and I'm not going to walk around and talk about how great the States is. If I ain't going to talk about how great the States is, and I have built that reason I'm here, the reason I got $2 to spend here is because of what it afforded me to do. But I'm not going to sit up here and lie and talk about it's all the greatest place and there's nothing wrong. I'm black in America. How can it be the greatest place for me and my type of people? So keep that in mind. This is that example of, it depends on what side of the table that you're sitting on. And so if I'm not even going to do that, which is giving me access to do this and be here, why would I do it about another place, even if it is the land of milk and honey, the homecoming, the motherland? No, you got to be honest, because there are things here that a lot of people don't understand, that until we come and meet here, until we are talking the same thing and everybody's acknowledging the truth, things can't change. Whole nother topic on another day. So that leads me to the next thing that I learned is I need to keep my expectations, but lower my associations and my assumptions. And so what I mean by that is, because I get so tired of people saying, you can't have expectations, don't expect this in a relationship, don't expect this when you this, and lower your expectations when you travel. No, don't lower your expectations when you travel. Change your assumptions about where you're traveling and why things are a certain way. And when you change your assumptions and you change your associations to things, like our association, like we romanticize Africa. So we create this unrealistic situation when we get there. So our assumptions around what it's going to be like is what the problem is. We still should have expectations of certain way of living. We should still have expectations around how to be treated. We just have to go about it different. We have to learn the culture. This is where learning how people live, learning how the system works in other places. Doesn't matter, even if it ain't Africa. If you decide to go to Norway, you still need to understand what they do in Norway in order to manage properly. You gotta understand what they do in the UK if you're gonna go to the UK and live there. If you choose to go to Korea and live in Korea, even if it's for work, whatever, you still need to understand the system. Doesn't mean that your expectations change. It means that your assumptions about it should change, right? And so when you start to change your assumptions, and I know somebody's gonna be like, ain't it all the same thing? Okay, well, let's not Jerry pick on words. I'm gonna tell you, there is no way that anybody is changing expectations, because even a monk expects when you come into their Montessori that you're gonna act a certain way, and if you don't, they put you out. They might not call it an expectation. I don't know what they call it. They say you just didn't act right, they put you out. Whatever, right? So when we acknowledge that our assumptions are just like in a relationship, it's not so much that there was an expectation of something, there was an assumption of something. I assumed you was going to do something. I assumed it was going to be this way. I assumed when we got married I was going this and you was going that and this, all that and the other. When I assume when I work 14, 15 hours a day that you would compensate me. I assume that if there's black people that are just as qualified, we would be granted the same access and be given a fair. Them assumptions ain't been met yet. Not on a scale large enough for us to say that they are effective, right? And why? Because we got this slide and scale. Got a slide and scale. We ain't meeting in the middle. So that's one. I've learned that there are a million teachable moments that I am a recipient of and not a giver of. And I mean, these are teachable moments every day. These are things that, can be just very simple things in how to manage things, changing how I accept what's put in front of me. Do I have to accept it? Learning about myself that I struggle with removing what I've learned from a corporate standpoint and just kind of functioning as a black person in America, that, we drop our head and we kind of just conform to things. Changing that. I don't have to accept it. And realizing here that I have a choice. Something as simple as picking my own vegetables. I have a choice to pick what I want. I have a choice to walk in the store and get what I want. I don't have to take what you're going to give me, or I just go somewhere else. I have a choice to pay what I'm going to pay at a Bajaji, or say I'm going to walk, or I got to, I have choices and I can exercise. I have a choice to be here or not to be here. And so realizing that you don't have to put up with certain behaviors. So the video that I'm still trying to load on YouTube is going to talk about what happened yesterday, the first 2 days that I moved into this apartment. And the assumption that I have to bear the burden of a crappy kind of move in and the placement that puts me at. And so that's going to be like one of the last things I'm going to talk about. But anyway, it's realizing that I do that even more and more. In other words, not setting appropriate boundaries. I've known this. I've been working on identifying these things since 2018, which is why I severed not relationships but responsibilities that I had. And I started in 2019 I sold my house in Chicago. I left basically 2 other side organizations that I was working with because it was just too much. I was giving too much of me into everything else, and the last straw was when I quit my job. That was the biggest thing. So, and it forces me to actually say, okay, now you got to fend for yourself. You've been fending for yourself through everybody else. Now you got to do it just for you. So learning that I still have a tendency to carry the weight of, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. It might affect this other person. No. Okay. No. But learning the ways to do that and a proper way to do it and set those boundaries as early as possible. What else did I learn about myself? I need to scale down more financially, or I'll be back home living with one of y'all. Anybody got a room? Because I need to keep renting. Shameless plug, I just got my first Airbnb listing. I will put the Airbnb listing in the description of this video, in the comments. So if you guys are ever in Dallas, you guys can look me up and hopefully rent from me. So that will be supporting my journey and helping me keep my finances in order so that I can continue on this path. There's so much I want to see. Current situation and hopefully post all of the pandemic stuff. Let's see what else. I already said I don't have to make up for everyone's I'll do that one in a second. I already said I don't miss the job. I do miss the income. Learning more about me. One thing I learned is I need to promote me more by living as me. So less about, oh, I got to tell everybody what I do, but do what I do and allow the appropriate energies that are going to come our way. Allow those appropriate energies to naturally gravitate, but do it in a way that is intentional, because that is my livelihood now. So learning how to promote myself and allowing my energy to garner the appropriate people around me that will continue or start supporting me. I have never really been a big shout out about me. And I don't necessarily need to be a shout out about me. I just need to live as me and allow that to bless, however it's gonna bless, right? Then there's 3 more. I kind of wanted to do this one last, but I'll say this. Realizing that I can depend on people, my family and my friends, and family being synonymous with everybody, but I'm specifically talking about my immediate family, including my brothers and my mama and them, but how I've had to learn how to be patient in that and also receptive to people helping. And I've had people offer to help me, to send me things, and it's really, really weird to me to have people saying, hey, I'll send you this, or hey, I'll send you that, just give me this information. And first of all, I had to get settled to figure out where I'm going to be, if I'm actually even staying here, and I still needed 1 more week to confirm that before I have anything shipped to me. But just learning to trust in a situation where, I've only solely, for the most part, relied on myself, in my immediate family, but in my, since I've been an adult, I've been, and even, younger years, relying on myself to get things done, and learning how I need to kind of backtrack on that even more so now than ever, and rely on this community support groups and my family back home and friends that are reaching out, and not feel so awkward when somebody gives or wants to just assist on my journey. And it's a blessing, because all of this stuff adds up quickly, and it's hard to prepare for all the things that you'll run into and the expenses that are associated. So just learning, how important your family, my brothers, amazing, my mom, my dad. Also realizing for me that my son, I still look to the son, my son, for assurances. I still look to him to see how he's doing. While it shouldn't dictate how I live, it still wakes me up at night if I get that mother feeling, so I realize even more so as I'm far away, that I'm still, and always will be. I don't want anybody to ever think that once your children are grown that you ever step out of that mode, but you're always a parent, right? So realizing that. What else? 2 more. Like I was saying, this is one of the things that is triggering and is hard for me as I'm realizing more and more the strain that I feel in that I am being told, like even without asking. I had somebody, I was on a tour and they explained to me how and why I'm treated a certain way, and I have no control over it. I have no control over who I was born to be. And what ails me is that in my homeland country where I was born, wearing the brunt of being black there and being treated a certain way there, and only to come to what I consider has to be my roots. Being in America as a black person and being treated unfairly because of my African heritage, my African descendancy, my color of my skin, and then being in Africa and being told and seeing that I'm being treated differently because of the same thing, because I am considered a foreigner, because they assume that, well, if you're here, then you gotta have money. And so being price gouged just on GP simply because I'm not from here, or as I'm told often enough, you don't speak Swahili, so I guess if I can speak the native tongue the way that they do, I'll receive more advancements, and I'll just because I speak Swahili, will I get better pricing? Sorry, y'all, I had to make a quick adjustment. But basically, feeling like somehow it's my responsibility to make up for the loss. It's my responsibility, or any of ours, but I can only speak for myself, to kind of carry this burden of their oppression as well as mine. And it's not everywhere, but I am forewarned by locals regularly. If I'm having a conversation, they express this to me over and over again. I had somebody, I didn't even notice the looks and the stares, and I was on a tour, and a guy just explained to me why people were staring at me. Actually, I knew he was staring at me, and he was explaining, he was like, because we can't make your skin color. And I was like, yeah, you can. You marry somebody lighter, or have a baby with somebody lighter. But them one-to-one, they can't. I was just like, why would you want to? Like, black is beautiful. But to know that I'm always, or just us, just in general, because you can be dark and come over, and they know that you're not from here. And I don't, different places are different, but you're going to get the stares everywhere. So I get the stares more here than when I was in Asia, at least more blatantly. And one of the things that throws me off here, that, and this is just the part of learning that all the stories about how great it is, but there's also underlining things that you have to deal with, and learning all those things as I go, that it's not a discrimination as much. It is to a certain extent because of the gouging. I mean, the pricing is blatant. The one thing I will tell you about Tanzania is they will tell you they actually have it listed as a foreigner price and a local price, and it's so vastly different. You will literally be like, oh my God, like, can I have a middle ancestry price? Like, can I get a diasporan rate? Like, how in the world can a local, and I get it, they're local, they're here, so they get that break because of their income and, the things, whatever, however they break it down. So let's say it's 10,000 for them, 2,000 in some cases for them to take a ferry somewhere, or whatever. And then the next rate is the foreigner, Mzulu, which is either how they refer to a white person, or just a foreigner, or somebody who speaks English. It's so many different variations of the one they use, but none of them are really used positively. And so it's their rate, and it's the equivalent of, so let's say I'm taking a ferry to Zanzibar. I think theirs is 10,000 T shillings. Ours in T shillings, because it's $35, is like 80,000 T shillings. Can we get a middle point? Can we get a 30 to 40 T shilling? I mean, like, it's the penalization of being from America, because that's where my parents were, and coming back to the motherland, it feels like a penalty in some cases. And again, a lot of this has been shared with me from locals. They explain to me why and how the treatment is, and it might be governmental and maybe the people are okay, but that, you know, it's like fighting this never-ending battle. And I can tell you from my experience and talking to other diasporans is we are tired of fighting this battle with our people. We're tired of having to be the ones to make up for it. I can see a white person walking up and down the street here and they don't look twice at that white person. Let me walk by and it's like stare all day, and you know, it's just like you can't possibly think that I can't see that and that I don't notice that. And those things are hurtful, to be blatantly obvious, to be blatantly honest. My bad. And so I wanted to end with that because that's going to be a whole nother conversation. I'm going to do a whole nother video on that because I want to talk to other people, because this, like I said, is not just from me. It's what I've learned from people sharing with me how it is, and this is what you can expect. And you know, you just ask why certain things certain ways, and they clearly explain it. I mean, a lot of people, I applaud and appreciate those who are honest. And then the last thing I want to say that I've learned about myself is ultimately I am here to change the game, and meaning change the game for me, change the game for those who are following. You know, how can I set the stage for others coming after me, others that are here, and even for myself, by the things that I'm experiencing and learning and sharing. So because I'm here of my own free will, I need to be here and be a part of it. And so that's the last thing that I want to share. It's been a journey. I'm continuing to go on this journey. I hope you guys will continue to follow me, continue to support. Simply sharing my page and you know, sharing my business pages and things like that with someone who might want those services, my yoga, my meal planning and meal prep, recipes that I'm going to be working on. There's so much to do. But just supporting in these videos and listening and letting me know, comment and let me know how it has affected you, how it's assisted you, how it, you know, you've learned, and or you know, if you think something is wrong about what I've stated, let's have an open, honest discussion about it, and you know, have some collaborative discussions where we can go on and you know, talk side to side and have some good discussions around things. So that's it, you guys. That's all I wanted to share with you on this April 3rd, my 1-year anniversary of leaving my job and going on this quest around the globe as much as possible, given the situation that we're in right now, trying to remain safe, but continue to live as we should be allowed to live. So I want to thank you guys again for being here. Y'all know the drill. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Where's Ali on YouTube, Where to Next _Ali, ALI on Instagram. And you can find actually all my links on my link tree, which is linktree/Where's Ali, WHERESALI. My name is pronounced Ali, like Muhammad Ali, the fighter. And I realize the symbolism in that, because I am a fighter. I don't quit. And if I quit, it's because I'm going to start something else. Because I'm like done fighting that battle, I'm going to go and fight something else. But I realize, I always say like the fighter, and I don't realize how synonymous that is with me. So anyway, you guys, you know the drill. Toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease.